and welcome to episode 1 of Like It or Leave It. So, what we're going to be doing here is a little sports podcast, audio, my own little personal at-home radio show every morning. This is going to be episode 1. Hope you guys like it. Got to cough first, 'cause that's always a strong way to start any show. I am dying a little bit. It's kind of early in the morning, but what better way to get sports out than at early in the morning? So, like you normally do with any other sports radio show, it's kind of talk about whatever topics are currently going on. Since this is episode 1, I'm going to talk about a couple overall topics, and then as we move along and more episodes and shows start coming out daily, it'll be more on a day-to-day base or what happened over the weekend type of experience. So, first thing I want to talk about is the debate that's currently going on, and I really don't know if it's a debate anymore. LeBron James came out at the beginning of the season and said he is chasing Michael Jordan's shadow. That's cool. I like players with aspirations, and LeBron James, no disrespect to him, is one of the 10 greatest players ever, and will probably, when it's all said and done, is one of the 5 greatest players ever. But one of these things that we do in sports, and I do it too, is we just project and automatically give it to someone. We think someone comes out, wins Rookie of the Year, they're going to be great. They're going to make this many all-star teams. They're going to be one of those guys who are eligible for the Hall of Fame when they retire. But then we have the Derrick Roses of the world, the Darren Williams of the world, the Tyreek Evans of the world. Projecting is just not a safe game to play. So, I'm one of those millennials people really, just love to talk trash about. And I've seen 2 historically great basketball players in my 10, 12 years of watching the NBA. And I'm not sure if LeBron's the best player I've ever seen. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just not willing to give him number 1. Before you can even talk about getting to Jordan's level, you at least got to be the best player of your era. So, let me look at my notes here. The argument I give is for one, Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant. And I'm going to give a different kind of argument than most people will give you. And like I said, I'm not saying if LeBron is the greatest player or if he's not. But I just want to throw a new equation into it. So I went and looked up, what do they do at their absolute best? LeBron won his 3rd finals last year, playing what is probably the 4 or 5 greatest games of his life. I never thought that a Pistons moment would ever be stopped where he scored the 29 out of 30 points out at Auburn Hills, but LeBron was just on fire last year. So let's see here. If we compare at their very best, in 2006, LeBron and Kobe set career high in scoring. Kobe at 35.4 points per game. LeBron at 31.4. All right, scoring edge goes to Kobe. Their best seasons rebounding. Kobe Bryant in 2003 had 6.9. LeBron James has 8, and that's this year. Edge LeBron. Best season assists per game. Kobe Bryant, 6.3 in 2014. And LeBron, 8.9 this year. You can more or less round up. So you give, under their best statistical, hypothetical season, Kobe Bryant is 35 points a game, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. LeBron James is 31, 8, and 9. Both of these very, very worthy Hall of Fame candidates. Both 2 of the greatest players to ever play the game. And like I said, if LeBron's not number 1, he's not going any lower than number 2. But if you're telling me I've got a guy who's 35, 7, and 6, and another guy who's giving me 31, 8, and 9, Is there anyone that's really going to sit there and tell you Russell Westbrook is better than Kobe Bryant? I don't know. But it's something that I think everyone should look at. Plus, the playoff argument is always going to go to Kobe. He's 5-2. LeBron's 3-4, with one of his finals being saved by Ray Allen and another one of his finals, the greatest 4-game stretch we've probably ever seen. Excuse me. So, before we get into all LeBron better than Jordan, LeBron even better than Larry Bird, then you've got to compare with your own era. And as far as I'm concerned, the NBA, as far as the greatest player in the league, went from Sir Jeffrey Jordan to Kobe Bean Bryant. LeBron's clearly the best player right now. But if you want to be put in that greatest of all time argument, just the conversation, you've got to outdo your peers of your own generation. And him and Kobe played for a solid 8-9 years when they were the two best guys going at it. Gosh, you got to love Monday mornings. All right, topic number 2, the Chicago Cubs. Where do I stand on this one? I was one of those people, started last year, came out and said, Cubs have the most talent. They've got not an ace, but 5 really good pitchers, and they've also got the best young core in baseball. They had everything that you needed and that you would want as a fan, as an owner, as a general manager to win the World Series. And I was on that bandwagon. Now, did it turn out the way that I thought it would? No. You really just can't predict coming back from 3-1. But the fact was they were still the only 100-win team in baseball last year. They had both MVP front-running candidates and just the most talented team in the league. And that's with Kyle Schwarber going down 6 games into the season. With all that said, they will not repeat. And I don't even know if they will become the next super team. Everyone's comparing them already to, it's like the start of the 2000s with the Yankees when they had Jeter, when they had Posada, Rivera, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte, and they're going to be that dynasty. But there's a couple of key differences I'd like to look in between that. Are the Cubs still the most talented team in baseball? 100%. Are they probably going to be the most talented team in baseball for at least another 2 years? 100%. Because not only do they have the right free agents, farm system, they've got one of the few things that most teams with most teams with money, or most teams with a good farm system, don't have. And that's the money to keep everybody. You look at the Tampa Bay Rays, the Pittsburgh Pirates, teams with really good farm systems, they just don't have the money to keep those guys. So they get them for 2 or 3 years and then free agency, and they've got to rebuild year after year after year. And that's not a method for consistent success. The Cubs' issue is they have the best talent. They also have the most questions, to me. And it kind of starts with the difference between them and the Yankees. What was a strength last year, which was them being positionless, is I think going to become a struggle. If you look at their key guys, they've only got 2 guys you can slot in and say they're playing the same position every single day. You have Anthony Rizzo at first base. You have Addison Russell at shortstop. Everyone else, I don't know where they're all going to play. You've got Chris Bryant, who is the reigning NL MVP. I don't know if he's playing third base or outfield. You have Ben Zobrist, who's never had a consistent position. You have Javier Baez, who is as great as I think he can be. He has no position. He couldn't even get playing time last year. Only reason he acquired playing time is because Jason Hayward struggled to the tune of a 227 batting average. Do we think Jason Hayward's going to return? I mean, I think so. But like I said in my first segment, you cannot project and have an absolute in projections. It's not how it works. You lost your other consistent player in center field and Dexter Fowler. Kyle Schwarber's coming off an injury. He doesn't know if he's playing left field, right field. He's trying to sneak in and play catcher while they're not looking. You've got 3 or 4 guys who just are not, who, while you're trying to get them on the field every day, you don't know where they're going to play every day. And it might be an old guy thing, but consistency is huge. What do we always say about NFL teams? Teams that can start the same 5 offensive linemen every single week do better than teams that can't. In basketball, teams that have the same starting lineup every single game do far better than teams that don't. In baseball, you want your same 5 starting pitchers to go out and throw every single day. Well, John Lester's not going to have David Ross for the first time in his career. Do we really think that Kyle Hendricks is 2.03 ERA? The difference between them and the Yankees is you knew every single day the Yankees had at catcher, Jorge Posada, at shortstop, Jeter. You had Bernie Williams in center field. Andy Pettit was always making 30, 35 starts, and you always had Mariano Rivera. You always had consistency. You always had the same guys every day. Did not matter. That's where I think the Cubs are going to struggle. You got the most talent, but either someone, 1 or 2 guys need to get traded. All right. One of my favorite times of the year is NFL free agency. I love free agency. As a kid, you're always like, oh, I want my team to sign this guy. I want my team to sign that guy. I want my team to sign that guy. Great time for fans. Great time for players. Yeah, let me say great time for good players that know they're getting a contract. If you don't know you're getting a contract, it is probably the most terrifying time of your life. I'm sorry. But I wanted to focus on 3 key free agents who I think should come with the most buyer beware, that unless they're willing to sign for the league minimum, you stay away from them. That is Adrian Peterson, that is Jamal Charles, and that is Darrelle Revis. I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, just 2 years ago, these were arguably the best corner in football, the best running back in football, and the second best running back in football. And trust me, as you can tell from, I don't know if you get a really good view of it, but as for the blanket behind me, I have a little bit of a bias for a certain team. And I don't particularly like Jamal Charles. Yeah, go Chargers. Woo. So let's look at this. This is just 2 years ago, by the way. Adrian Peterson, 1,485 yards, 11 touchdowns, led the league in rushing. Darrelle Revis, Started 14 games, 5 interceptions, won a Super Bowl with New England. It was him and Richard Sherman, 1A, 1B, for who was the best corner in football. Jamal Charles, you have to go back 3 years because he's been hurt the last 2. 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1,500 total yards. Like, these are great players. Like, Darrelle Revis and Adrian Peterson and me are going to be in the Hall of Fame. Although we'll get to that later about what I think about that. But the buyer beware on them. You do not pay for past production. You just don't. And with Adrian Peterson missing 2 of the last 3 seasons with major surgeries, Jamal Charles missing the last 2 seasons with both major surgeries, and Darrelle Revis, quite honestly, looking like he no longer has his legs under him and he's just lost on the field, why would I want to pay any more to guys that are whose best years are not only so far behind them, they will probably never even be shells of their former selves. You want to come work on a 1-year deal, league minimum, yeah, I'll sign you as a backup. But that's about it. So many times, and you would think people would get it. Like in free agency, it always happens in baseball. Guys get these 7, 8, 9-year deals when they're 27, 28. Why do I want to pay you like you're going to play like you're 23 to 26 when I'm getting you for 33 to 36? Just, it makes no sense to me. Like, if I'm going to get a guy who's turning 26, 27, I'll give him a 3-4 year deal. But you never go beyond that. And I just got a really good feeling one of these guys are going to get a deal that's way longer than they need. Also, the Adrian Peterson to the Cowboys hype needs to die down. That's not happening. All right. And for my last segment of the day, I want to talk about something that just irritates me. That is the NFL and Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. They've become a joke. That's no disrespect to anyone who's in the Hall of Fame, anyone who might be in the Hall of Fame. No disrespect to any of the players. I'm simply talking about the Hall of Fames themselves and the joke that sports writers have made the Hall of Fame. You know what the conversation around the Hall of Fame is right now? The NFL, it's this emotional back and forth name-calling battle with T.O. Like, really? We're going to take one of the guys who was undisputedly one of the 2 best receivers from the 2000s, him and Randy Moss. Sorry, Marvin Harrison, you were great. You're not them. So, someone who was one of the 2 best at his position for an entire decade, you're telling me that the conversation is going to be, oh, well, he was mean to guys, or, oh, I didn't like what he said to me, or he went off on this reporter. And then in baseball, why is the storyline always who can get 100%? What? You're a Hall of Famer or you're not. I don't care about this one dude who's sitting there trying to prove a point and saying that, oh, Ken Griffey Jr. should only get 99.3% of his votes because Tom Seaver only got 98.3%, and there's just no 100% Hall of Famer. Get out of here. You're in the Hall of Fame or you're not. The storyline, they're history museums. It's the history of the sport. If a guy's great, he goes in, he shows the history of your sport. We don't sit there and say, oh, we don't like this president, so we don't put his picture up. It's just become a joke. All right, thank you guys for watching. That's episode 1. Plan on doing this daily. Like I said, it'll normally be the typical day-to-day what's happening, but I just wanted to get a few topics out there as a feeler.